Hello and welcome to another Blender Know-How tutorial. This is going to be another tutorial on scripting. So let's go ahead and open up a new Blender file and go into the scripting tab, as it's pretty convenient. So I'm going to make this a little bigger. In this tutorial, we're going to be jumping into finding out data that is already in our scene, such as like what this cube's name is. I mean, obviously we can go over here and look at it, but within the script editor, we need to know sometimes what these names are. It's actually fairly easy. So we can see right here, these are things that have already been set up. So I can actually make them a little bit bigger so you can see on my screen a little bit easier. It says right here we can just zoom in using Control Plus and the scroll wheel, or the Control wheel, Control and the wheel. But there's also a lot of other things that these are just things that we can do within this mini console, or it's almost like a terminal if you use Linux or command prompt on Windows. It's very similar to that, but just Python. And over here, we type our Python and we can run it. So the main difference between these two is this one is you're going to type in one line at a time and run it, and this one will run an entire script that you can save and keep running days later. This one is mainly just for like testing and doing things like right now. So first off, I'm going to duplicate this cube a few times. Actually, maybe not yet. I want to do a few things before that. Let's look at the built-in modules. You can see right here, these are the things that we would have to import into our Python up here. So for instance, we have in the past imported BPY or BPY data or BPY OPS. These things we would import, and sometimes we could even name them as something else by using like something such as import bpy.data as bd for b and d. And then every time in the future, we would just say bd dot whatever. Okay, that's pretty easy now. So let's go ahead and try some of this by um, yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into this. So right here we can also see that bpy.data is set as D. So it's almost the same thing as this, if that makes any sense. So now every time we would do it, we could do D dot data objects or whatever we want to do. So now we can do that over here. So it's already set up because of this. We could also use C for context. So let's use D, and we can type in actually let's print the D dot objects. Now when we print that, we get this an array in a lot of languages, or a list in Python is what these are called. But it's just, in essence, it's just a few, it's an array of things, of data. So this can be a number, this could be an integer, or that's the same thing. An integer, it could be string, a character. This could be anything. And you can see it's separated by a comma. This is always true. And this could potentially be like a lot of objects. But we can tell right here, BPY collection is 3. That's interesting to know right now, because that just means that we have 3 objects in our scene: the camera, the light, and the cube. So let's just say, what was the first thing created in Blender? We can actually find that out. We can just do, in fact, I think you can just do D objects. Yeah, so it actually does the same thing. We don't have to print it. It will just print it automatically because it doesn't know what else I would want to do with just putting that variable out there. So now we can just do D dot objects. Now let's say I want to access just this part of this array. I can. All I would do is I could then put a bracket, and I could put 0. In programming languages, 0 in essence is 1. It's just the way it works. We just start at 0 and we count up. 0, 1, 2, 3 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. Makes sense. It's just something you'll have to learn if you're not accustomed to it. It's just the way it is right now. So now, if we type in d.objects, what will happen? Well, it's going to print out something. Let's enter it. So the first thing, because this is 1, remember that 0 is 1 in programming. The very first thing that's created in Blender is the camera. We can also change that to 2 or 1, which is the cube. So the cube is the second thing generated, and I am guessing that the light is last. And if we just type in 3, it's just an error. There is nothing after that. So let's go. I'm going to scroll back up here in this console. This section right here, it says there's a 3 right here. We can actually change that if we wanted to by just duplicating some of these. So if we duplicate this a few times, so now we have 6 of them plus this and this. So there should be 8 objects. Now if we print, let's take out the brackets and the number, we can actually print this out and we get 8 objects. I hope this kind of makes a little bit of sense of how we can actually pull some of the information that is within our scene. And there's a lot of things like this that we can do. Stay tuned for some more tutorials and we can go a little bit more in depth on some of these things that we can do. Thanks for watching.